Hello. Welcome to Channel 9 News, reporting tonight on the events that happened on March 15th, 1963, during the Mid-East Regional Men's Basketball Semifinals. This high-profile game made national and cultural history when the all-white team from Mississippi State broke unwritten state law and went to compete against the Loyola Ramblers, a team with the black starter. During this time of cultural and social turmoil, integration was heavily resisted, especially in the South. Mississippi was one of the last states to comply with integration after the Jim Crow laws were abolished in the October of 1960. So there was resistance by the university board members and the state government when colleges started integrating teams, forcing white players to play alongside black players. In 1963 was a good year for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They were on top of their game, and Coach Babe McCarthy was leading them to victory after victory. After a stunning win in the second round of the regional tournament, the team was scheduled to play Loyola Ramblers in the semifinals. This posed a problem for the team because it was a known fact that sports teams from Mississippi were not allowed to play integrated teams. Despite this obvious opposition to this rule, Coach McCarthy and Athletic Director Wade Walker were ordered to forfeit the game and not attend the round. The state went so far as to issue an injunction to the school that this specific game was not allowed to be played. This did not go over well with the coaching staff and faculty. They were not satisfied with allowing their team to quit when they had worked so hard and deserved to compete for this final championship. They devised a plan to get the players to the game anyway, without the school knowing and without the government finding out. On March 14, 1963, Coach McCarthy and Director Wade Walker quietly picked up the players from the homes before dawn and flew them out on a private jet to Lansing, Michigan, paid for out of pocket by families and supporters. The team would compete against the Loyola Ramblers regardless of what their petty racist government and administration insisted. This was a very risky decision for these brave men. They were putting their livelihood on the line to stand up for what was right. These boys all deserved to play the game regardless of the color of their skin. It was the competition of the game that mattered, not the composition of the players. Babe McCarthy and Walker were not only coaches that night, they were mentors. They gave these boys a true life lesson that would stay with them regardless of the outcome of that game. Mississippi lost the game on March 15, 1963, but they played as hard as they could and they lost to a team that outplayed them in a fair game. There was no shame on that day. Loyola's coach Jerry Harkness believes they were more of a winner than we were. It took a long time for me to realize that what they went through. Today I think that the game was bigger. That winning that game was bigger than winning the national championship. The Bulldogs went home feeling just as accomplished and satisfied with themselves as if they had won. In a way, they'd beaten a different opponent, in a much more significant way. This game sparked a flame that spread like wildfire. The media was there to document the entire event and to show the entire nation how divided Mississippi still was. It was shedding a very negative light on the state in a time of social and political reform. It took actions like this dramatic stealth transportation of players in 1963 to fight the stronghold of racism and hate in the South. Protests could be ignored and cease. Political action could never penetrate the racism of the older generations that were in power. But statements like this one could not be ignored. By using college sports and high-profile events, McCarthy and Walker were able to use a huge leap for the civil rights movement and take a risk doing the right thing. The courage and determination to not let these old-fashioned ideas influence their own players' futures and lives is an example to look at for the true spirit of the game. It should not matter what the color of the person playing is, as long as they've worked hard enough to get there. The men gave the game just a little more meaning that year. Basketball wasn't just about winning a game. It was about proving that each player was worthy of playing that game, regardless of who the victor was. Both teams had a victory that night. The Ramblers had beaten the Bulldogs, but the Bulldogs had beaten a much stronger foe: discrimination and hate. Well, I'm very pleased to report that that was my grandfather, Wade Walker. He was a very, very brave man, and he still is to this day. Reporting for Channel 9 News, this is Carly Walker.